Los Angeles, a nameless hospital room. An old cassette player hums My Girl, its sound faint and scratchy, like an echo from another life. Melvin Franklin, the bass voice that melted America's heart, lies there, motionless, alone. The doctor writes, heart failure. But why did the man who kept the beat for an entire era slip away so quietly? No family by his side, no record label representative, just a strange bottle of pills in his pocket, the label half torn. A bouquet of green flowers delivered at 2 a.m, no address, no signature, and a crumpled note, scrawled with shaky words. I kept the beat for them, but who kept me? Melvin Franklin, or Blue, spent his life in the shadows of the spotlight. Did he choose silence? Or did someone make him stay quiet? This isn't just a low note of a singer's life. It's the living scar of an unsolved mystery. Stay with me. This might be the final chapter of a secret someone doesn't want you to know. Chapter 1. A product of a violent act. Montgomery, Alabama, 1942. An old wooden church, the air heavy with the scent of weathered timber. A young boy stands among the pews, singing a hymn. His deep, unusual voice turns heads. That's David English, later known as Melvin Franklin. His singing is like light in the darkness, but behind it lies the chilling silence of his mother, Rose English. Can you imagine? A young mother, eyes always red, never speaking of Melvin's father. All that's known is he's the reason she cries each night, sitting by the window, clutching herself tightly. Their small home lets in drafts. Melvin, just 5, often sits on the windowsill, staring at the old church, where his voice seems to hide his mother's sorrow. He records his singing on a cassette tape, tucking it under his pillow, as if afraid someone might steal it. At night, his voice fills the dark, covering the void his mother can't voice. When the family moves to Detroit in 1952, 10-year-old Melvin carries that tape. On smoky street corners, he sings with pickup groups, his bass voice resonating like a promise. But his eyes gaze far off, searching for something. Detroit's no paradise. Its dark alleys brim with danger. A friend recalls Melvin standing frozen, fists clenched, watching kids fight on the street. He never spoke of it, but years later, he told a friend, "When I sing, I don't see anyone in the room. Just my mother's shadow and the wind through the church window." His voice, even on Detroit's corners, is light in the dark. But does that light hide something? A strange detail emerges years later. In Melvin's wallet, they find a faded photo, folded in half. Unfolded, it shows a man's back, standing before the old Montgomery church, a faint cross in the distance. No one knows who he is. A relative says Melvin once glanced at the photo, then hid it, as if afraid someone might see. In Motown studio, he'd grip the mic, his bass voice booming, but his eyes wandered like he was singing for someone who never showed. At 18, Melvin joins Motown, carrying dreams and a voice born in shadows. But Alabama's past clings to him. A friend says he avoided mentioning his father, saying only, "My mother was everything." That photo, the cassette under his pillow, the hymns in the old church, they're pieces of an untold story. His voice carries him to glory, but does it free him from the darkness of his past? Who was the man in that photo, and why did Melvin never speak of him? Chapter 2. The Man Forgotten at His Own Peak. 1968, a Southern theater. A manager stops Melvin Franklin at the front door. "Use the back," he says, just because Melvin's black. Melvin lowers his head, walks away, his tall shadow stretching across the dusty sidewalk. Can you picture it? Just 4 years earlier, his bass voice opened. My Girl, making America sing along from Detroit's streets to New York's nightclubs. But the spotlight, bright as it was, never erased Melvin's shadow, the shadow of a man always standing behind. In 1960, 18-year-old Melvin joins Motown with the Temptations. His bass, like a heartbeat, builds their legend. When My Girl plays in 1964, audiences leap to their feet, clapping, but the lights shine on David Ruffin or Eddie Kendricks. Melvin, nicknamed Blue for loving Volare, stands at the stage's edge, smiling, his shadow quiet on the wooden floor. After shows, he bows, leaves the stage, as if fleeing the light that reflects his shadow. A friend recalls him sitting in the dressing room, staring into a mirror, muttering, "They hear my voice, but do they see me?" Motown's a machine. Melvin must sing, dance, smile, even when his heart's heavy. A fan shares on a forum that, during a 1966 show, Melvin froze mid-song, staring into the crowd, his shadow trembling under the stage lights. What was he looking for? A familiar face, or just a moment to breathe? After the show, he sat alone, head in hands, as if hiding in the dark. A curious detail surfaces. Years later, they find a letter in Melvin's old suitcase, written in faded blue ink. No recipient named. "I sing for them, but who hears me?" he wrote. The last line smudged, as if he hesitated, his pen pausing at the edge. Who was that letter for? A friend? Or himself, in those lonely nights? He never sent it. He kept his shadow private, just as he kept the beat for the Temptations. But there's a stranger story. An industry insider says Melvin was offered a solo career, a chance to step into the light. He refused, not out of humility, but as if he feared leaving someone's shadow. David Ruffin's ego, bigger than the stage, or the mysterious man in the faded photo from the church. Melvin just shook his head when asked, his eyes lost. His shadow under Motown's lights grew heavier. Who was he afraid to step out from, and why did he choose to stay in the dark? Chapter 3. The Unsent Letter and the Girl Backstage. After Melvin Franklin's death, they find a letter folded in thirds, its creases worn, tucked in an old drawer. "Kim, I'm sorry for the nights I was away from you and the kids," he wrote in faded blue ink. No recipient named. Never sent. Can you imagine? The reader pauses, wondering, why didn't Melvin send it? Guilt or fear of another truth? That letter, like the cassette under his childhood pillow, like the faded photo in his wallet, holds a piece of his soul. Flashback to the early 1960s. Melvin stands before Kimberly English, the woman he loves. They marry, have 3 children, David Jr., Devette, and Nikios. But the spotlight pulls him away. In Detroit, Kimberly sits at the kitchen table, her coffee cold, waiting for his rare calls. Melvin carries the folded letter in his coat, as if wanting to say something but holding back. He sings for audiences, for the Temptations, for fame. But maybe he never sang to keep someone close. Tour schedules are a whirlwind. Melvin flies from city to city, his bass voice shaking the world. Each night, in hotel rooms, he opens the folded letter, reads the words, then tucks it away. A friend says he kept a family photo by the mic before shows, as if bringing them along. But when David Ruffin's fired in 1968, Melvin crumbles. He sits silently in the studio, his shadow on the wall, eyes red. "Ruffin was like my brother," he says. His voice still resonates, but it's for those growing distant. A strange detail emerges. A fan recalls a 1967 show where Melvin turned away, spotting a strange girl backstage. His eyes, part avoidance, part plea. No one knows what happened. Who was she? A passing acquaintance, or a memory he wanted to bury? He hurried off, clutching the folded letter in his pocket. No one asked. He kept singing, his warm bass masking something unspoken. Melvin gave his voice to others, audiences, the group, Motown. But in quiet moments, he sat alone, staring at the folded letter, whispering, "Am I worth loving?" Kimberly never saw that letter. Maybe he feared sending it would break something. His voice, like light in the dark, moved the world. But his heart, like that unsent letter, stayed in shadow. Who was the girl backstage, and why didn't he ever send that letter? Chapter 4. The lights dim and the cost of standing behind. After Melvin Franklin's death, they find another letter folded in thirds, its creases worn, in an old box. "I want to sing one more time, but my body won't let me," he wrote in shaky black ink. No recipient, never sent. Can you picture it? The reader pauses, wondering, why didn't he send it? Pain, or fear of facing how much he'd sacrificed. Flash back to 1978. Melvin steps out from a West Hollywood show, his bass voice still thrilling the crowd. But that night, a carjacker confronts him. Melvin, tall and strong, tries to stop him, and 2 bullets hit his hand and leg. Blood seeps through his shirt, and he lies on the sidewalk, streetlights casting a faint glow on his shadow. But that's not all. Since the 1960s, rheumatoid arthritis has gnawed at his body. He uses cortisone to sing, to keep the beat for the Temptations. The drug saves his voice, but destroys him, leading to diabetes and tissue necrosis. Melvin still takes the stage, sometimes with an oxygen tank, sometimes in a wheelchair. Some say Motown cut him from a TV performance because he couldn't stand steady. True? No one answers. A fan recalls seeing him in 1993, trembling as he signed autographs, sweat beading on his forehead. He turned away when a strange man approached, his eyes a mix of fear and pleading. Who was that man? A doctor, an old friend, or a ghost from the past? Melvin hurried off, clutching the folded letter in his pocket. A stranger detail surfaces. When Melvin's admitted to the hospital, they find an old pill bottle in his coat. The label's half torn, dosage unclear. The doctor doesn't recall who prescribed it. That bottle, like the folded letter, like the faded photo in his wallet, holds an untold piece of his story. Melvin sang for audiences, for the group, for fame. But maybe he never sang to save himself. A friend recalls him in the studio, staring at the mic, murmuring, "If I can't sing, am I still Melvin?" Or just a name behind the lights. Cortisone kept his beat for the group, but inside, his body broke, note by note. A nurse says, during a checkup, Melvin stared out the hospital window saying, "I don't want the group to worry." But was he cared for properly? His voice still moved the world, but his body, like an old instrument, couldn't keep up. Who was the strange man in 1993, and what did that mysterious pill bottle hide? Chapter 5. The Midnight Bouquet and the Final Whisper. February 1995, a hospital room at Cedars-Sinai, Los Angeles. A trembling cassette player spins My Girl, its sound scratched and worn, like a distant memory. Melvin Franklin lies there, a faint smile tugging at his cheek. Can you see it? The man who made the world dance now only has strength to hear his own voice on tape, like the boy hiding cassettes under his pillow. A stroke has drained him, and a brain seizure will soon pull him into darkness forever. Otis Williams visits, and Melvin grips his hand, talking about his kids. "I want them to remember me," he whispers, eyes distant. But a nurse says hours before his coma, Melvin stared at the ceiling, saying, "I sang my heart out. Was it enough?" As if asking someone absent. Maybe Kimberly. Maybe himself. His voice, like light in the dark, still tries to ring out, but his body's weary. A strange detail emerges. A bouquet of green flowers arrives at his room. No address, no signature. Just a handwritten note. "Keep singing, Blue." The doctor doesn't know who sent it, but a nurse recalls it came at 2 a.m, hours before Melvin slipped into a coma. Can you feel it? Like someone was watching, closely, in his final hours. A fan? Or a shadow from his past? Melvin clutched the folded letter in his hand, as if holding on to something. Melvin fought to the end. A friend says he once stared out the hospital window, murmuring, I don't want the group to worry. But was he cared for properly? A fan on a forum claims Melvin looked neglected in the hospital, not treated like a star. An old pill bottle, its label blurred, sits in his coat. Who gave it to him? His voice was for the world, but in that hospital room, he was alone with a cassette and green flowers. Who sent that midnight bouquet, and what secret did it carry? Chapter 6. The crumpled note and the secret taken to the grave. After Melvin Franklin's death, they find a crumpled note, folded in thirds, a coffee stain on its corner. The handwriting's uneven, some lines shaky, as if written in haste or weakness. The bass keeps the beat, but who keeps me? He wrote. Can you feel it? A man who backed the Temptations' legend, wondering who stood by him. That note, like the folded letter, like the faded photo in his wallet, holds a piece of Melvin's soul he never shared. A friend says Melvin once received an old photo of himself beside a man at an Alabama jazz show. The man's face is blurred, no date noted. No one recalls the event, but Melvin kept it in his wallet, folded precisely, as if afraid someone might see. He'd glance at it, then hide it, his eyes lost. A fan recalls a 1994 show where Melvin paused mid-stage, muttering, "I'm tired." Another overheard, saying it wasn't just physical. It was the voice of a man who'd held too much inside too long. Someone on a forum claims Melvin wrote unreleased songs, filled with personal pain, but Motown never shared them. Another speculates he knew a music industry secret, but stayed silent to protect the group. He was always the peacemaker, standing in his own shadow. A friend recalls him alone in the studio, staring at the mic, saying, "I kept the beat, but what did I lose?" The crumpled note, the blurry photo, the whispered words on stage. They're pieces of a puzzle. Melvin sang for audiences, for the group, but maybe never for himself. A relative says he once stood before a mirror, touching the folded letter, as if wanting to speak, but stopping short. That note, like the childhood cassette, like the mysterious photo, holds an untold story. Did Melvin carry a bigger secret about his life or Motown? Who was the man in the photo? And what secret did he keep until the end? Conclusion. Melvin called the world. But who called him? No statue stands for Melvin Franklin. No boulevard bears his name. But every time my girl plays on the radio, in a movie theater, or a quiet cafe, his bass voice lives again. Melvin was the Temptations' heartbeat. The soul of Papa was a Rollin Stone. He stood behind the lights, keeping the beat for the group, for an era. In 1989, he entered the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Temptations. In 2013, they received a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. But did you know? Melvin was never fully recognized. In 2000, at a memorial, fans chanted "Blue" in a moment of silence as if calling him back. Melvin's story is about loyalty, sacrificing for something bigger than himself. He sang through pain, racism, illness. From the boy in Montgomery's church to the man with an oxygen tank on stage, Melvin gave his voice to the world. But at what cost? An unsent letter to Kimberly, a midnight bouquet of green flowers, a crumpled note asking, "Who keeps me?" Can you imagine? Melvin, who moved millions, was alone in the dark. The clues, the childhood cassette, the blurry photo, the whispered, "I'm tired," hint at another story. He kept the beat for the world. But when the lights dimmed, the mic went silent and the crowd left. Who kept him? A former label staffer once whispered, "Blue knew something others shouldn't." That claim vanished from records. Did Motown push him too far? Did he hide a deeper pain? About family? About himself? Melvin's story isn't just tragedy. It's a reminder. Even the greatest can feel lost. His bass voice still resonates, but Blue is gone. Each time you hear My Girl, do you hear him? That voice, like a light in the dark, lives on. But the man behind it, with unsent letters, hidden photos, leaves an unanswered question. Will we ever know the full truth about the man called Blue? Or will he remain a mystery forever?